Good afternoon. Welcome to Tinfoil Tuesdays. My name is Joanna. I'm a colon hydrotherapist here at Root Chakra inside South Bay Holistic Spa. Today I wanted to talk to you about indigestion and undigested food and why it's so important to chew your food, and then not only that, but really take care of your digestive system, especially in a time like today. And I bring this up because I've been seeing more and more undigested food in the releases of my clients. I do look at the release after the session. I do a little poop analysis. It's really fun. I think it's the best part of the session. Looking at your stool gives you great insight as far as what's going on internally in your body, and can answer a lot of big mysterious questions as far as, when we're wondering what's the issue. And I will say about 90% of my clients have undigested food coming out. And what does that mean? That means whole food particles, whole food is being passed through the digestive system. And this is really, really concerning for me, and I'll tell you why. But before I tell you why, let me explain to you how the digestive system works, so that you can have just kind of a brief understanding of that. So the first step of digestion is actually smelling the food. You're going to smell it. It's going to cause salivation. You're going to salivate, and then you're going to actually mechanically chew the food. Put the food in your mouth, you're chewing it. This is one of the most important steps of digestion, because there's enzymes in food, and then there's enzymes present in our body. And enzymes are little pac-men or catalysts. They're needed for any kind of reaction in the body. If you want anything to happen in the body, enzymes will make that happen, and they speed things up as well. So, for example, a fruit would not rot as quickly if the enzymes in it were killed, which is called irradiation, which is why all your fancy, all your nice produce at like Costco and some other big department or grocery stores seem like they last forever. Yet when you cut them open, they're like moldy on the inside. But so you've got glands in the side of your mouth that will release enzymes with that physical action of masticating. So chewing your food ideally 30 times before you swallow is imperative to proper digestion. So chewing your food releases enzymes into the food, and then you're going to swallow it. It goes down your esophagus into your stomach. Now, once the food is in the stomach, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach actually starts to convert those enzymes, and they work together into breaking down your food so that it's ready to be dropped into the small intestine. Ideally, your food will sit in your stomach for about 90 minutes. And what your stomach does with that stomach acid is that it's bringing down the acidity of the food. When the stomach acid is low enough, then the pyloric valve between the stomach and the small intestine will open up, and that food will drop into the small intestine. Now that the food is in the small intestine, this is where a lot of nutrient absorption happens, right? And this is where things get scary when it comes to undigested food. So now the food has been broken down into, for example, your proteins are into amino acids and so on and so forth, and they're now in the small intestine. All of those particles are going to be filtered through the liver and dumped back in, and then it makes its way through the small intestine. There's 3 different parts of the small intestine where different things get absorbed, and then it gets dumped into the colon. Now, once it's in the colon, a few more nutrients are absorbed, and the rest of the water from the food is absorbed and is excreted. This whole process should take about 17 hours on average. What I've been noticing with most people today, 17 to 25 hours on average. What I've been noticing is that most people, their food is literally passing through them within a matter of hours, 2-3 hours. They come in for a session, and then they're like, hey, that was my lunch, and lunch was like literally 2 hours ago. I'm like, food should not pass through that quickly. It just shouldn't. And what does it mean when it's passing through that quickly, and when you're having whole food bits come out? So if it's going through you that quickly, if it's not spending that full 17, 25 hours in the digestive system, you're not absorbing the nutrients that you need from the food. It's kind of like making an expensive poop. Nothing's getting absorbed. You could eat all the healthy food that you want, but if it's not getting broken down, if it's not being digested, if it's not being absorbed, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. But not only that, but now your body has a secondary nutrient deficiency. There's 2 different types of nutrient deficiencies, primary and secondary. Primary means you're not getting it from your diet. And secondary is that you're not absorbing it. So your body is having trouble assimilating, utilizing, absorbing all of those nutrients. This is very serious, you guys, because what happens when that food isn't being broken down into the proper blocks that it needs to be? When it's being filtered by that liver, now you have a whole, for example, protein that is being sent to the liver, and instead of it being an amino acid, the liver is like, what the heck is this? I don't recognize this. Hey body, I want you to go and attack everything that looks like this protein. And so then the body will be like, okay, it's a foreign invader, when it's really not a foreign invader. It's just not in the state that it should be. It hasn't been broken down to what it needs to be for that part of the body, but the body doesn't recognize it because it shouldn't be there at that time. And so maybe that protein was for hair growth, and now your body starts attacking that protein and you start losing your hair, and that's called alopecia. And this is how autoimmunes start. This is the precursor of an autoimmune. And the fact that 90% of my clients have this, most of you are dealing with this. I mean, if you're seeing like whole food bits in your stool, if you're coming in and, you know, we look at the stool and we talk about this, this is the future. This is your body trying to warn you, like, hey, something is wrong, something's going on here. Especially if you have gas, bloating, lethargy after you're eating, if you're not going to the bathroom several times a day. About 20-30 minutes after each large meal, you should be going to the bathroom. You're eating 3 times a day, great. You should be going to the bathroom 4 times, first thing in the morning and once after each large meal. 4 times a day. Most people go maybe once a day at the most. I have plenty of clients who go a couple times a week, won't go for several weeks. And so first, I mean, this is why you need to chew your food. This is the first step. Of course, you have to put good food into your body that will actually nourish you and heal you. Absolutely, you're not going to get anything out of processed packaged food, out of dead food that's lacking those enzymes that we were talking about earlier. Enzymes are literally life. And so, how can you correct this? There's many ways that you can get. So like I said, chew your food is the step 1. But what we want to do is get more enzymes in the body, get that enzyme production up, and get the hydrochloric acid production in the stomach up as well. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, anything like that, you already have indigestion, you already are not digesting, breaking down your foods well enough, because, like I mentioned earlier, your stomach has to reach a certain pH before that pyloric valve opens for that food to drop into the small intestine. This is actually what causes acid reflux. So that acid will come back because that food has been sitting in the stomach for too long, and it's not acidic enough, meaning it hasn't been broken down to what it needs to be before it drops down in the small intestine. But the body gives up after a certain amount of time. You know, it's been 2.5 hours that the food's been sitting in there. The stomach is like, forget it, this isn't going anywhere, we're not breaking it down, next, moving on. And so pay attention to this, okay? Really pay attention to this. More and more people are getting digestive issues when they're young, in their early 20s. It's super scary because, you know, we're going to hit 30, 40, and all of these common things that are happening nowadays that are becoming the norm, that are becoming epidemics, will happen to us because it's already happening. You know, whether it's an autoimmune or cancer, something else, we need to prevent it. So digestion is the first step of healing your body. So chew your food, eat fresh food, raw food. You can lightly cook your veggies too, so that we don't kill those enzymes. Again, staying away from anything that's packaged or processed. First thing you can do in the morning is juice some fresh celery juice. That will get that hydrochloric acid production going again. Hello, Len. The hydrochloric acid production again, it's going to help with enzymes. Celery juice. Celery is so good and so healing for the liver and for gallstones. The liver is like the body's recycling center, so it's going to filter all of that stuff out, like we just talked about a little bit earlier. That's going to help heal that liver as well. You can take digestive enzymes, you can take the hydrochloric acid, but really paying attention to what you're eating, staying away from inflammatory foods as well will help a lot. The biggest culprits of inflammation in the body, and if you want to lose weight, just remove these inflammatory foods. There's so many things that will just fall into place if you just start taking care of your body. Your skin will clear up, you'll have more energy, the brain fog will go away, you'll lose weight. I mean, everything that you could possibly like want for yourself, for your health, etc., will just fall into place if you heal your gut. So the biggest culprits are inflammation in the gut, or all of your grains. It doesn't matter whether it's rice, oat, barley, wheat, millet, etc. There's this whole gluten-free fad going around right now. I'm not saying that there aren't people who have a true celiac disease, true gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, absolutely. But studies are now showing that it doesn't matter what the grain is. It doesn't matter whether it's wheat, rice, oat, millet, barley, etc. It has this inflammatory reaction in the gut. That's just the plant's defense mechanism. It's part of the endosperm. Plants don't want to be eaten. You know, we all have to survive somehow, and so that's just how they defend themselves. So staying away from the grains will help a lot. And not only that, but with that nutrient absorption, so the grains, especially the gluten, becomes like a glue on the intestine walls. And in the small intestine, you have these like little tentacles on the membrane of the intestines inside, called villi. And those villi, they're tiny, they're like little carpets. Little carpet fibers. They absorb all of your nutrients. All of your nutrients are absorbed through those villi. So if you're taking them with sugar, processed sugar, and gluten, and all of these grains, and dairy, dairy is another big culprit, cheese and stuff like that, it's caked and it's not being able to absorb those nutrients properly. So again, we're going to end up with a nutrient deficiency, or even worse, an autoimmune, because the body can't recognize those nutrients that haven't been broken down fully. So alcohol is a really big culprit, huge inflammatory. I'm going to call it I don't know, it's not a pathogen, but huge. Yeah, it's bad. Just to put things into perspective for you guys, if you eat something that causes inflammation in the body, you're setting yourself back about 3 months. Studies have shown that even after about 6 months or so of being gluten-free, those gluten markers are still present in the body. So 6 months later, you still have these inflammatory markers. And inflammation is a positive feedback loop. Meaning it just keeps cycling and cycling and cycling until you break that cycle. So you physically have to remove whatever is causing that inflammation for that cycle to stop. It's not like you can actually take something for inflammation to make it end. You have to remove the culprits. So you can take things that will reduce the inflammation and things that will help speed up that feedback loop. So curcumin, turmeric is one of those things. It doesn't actually reduce inflammation in the body per se as we think of it, but it's going to speed up that feedback loop so that you can get rid of that inflammation much quicker. Anyway, I'm going to hop off really quickly because I have to go. I've got some people here, but feel free to message me if you have any questions. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.